General Krixvara of the Hegemony High Command paced nervously before the containment cells aboard his flagship, the inevitable Victory. His chitinous exoskeleton clicked with each step as he examined the cargo that had cost him 3 destroyers and nearly 1,000 troops to acquire. 12 human juveniles, ranging in age from what his xenobiology team estimated to be 6 to 16 standard years, sat quietly in their individual holding cells. The capture had been meant as a demonstration of power, seize the young of the species, and the adults would surrender to any demand rather than see their offspring harmed. It seemed like sound strategy at the time. Status report: Colonel Thexmar, Krixvara commanded as his second-in-command approached with a datapad clutched in his secondary arms. The colonel's mandibles twitched nervously. Sir, we've received communications from 17 different human military organizations, 43 civilian governments, and what appears to be every major news network in the Sol system. Excellent. Krixvara clicked with satisfaction. They're ready to negotiate. Sir, Thexmar's voice carried a note of barely controlled panic. They're not offering to negotiate. They're mobilizing. The observation deck of the Galactic Defense Force flagship Harmony of Stars buzzed with nervous energy as representatives from 12 different species watched the tactical displays in stunned silence. Below them, the contested world of Kepler 438b writhed under the shadow of the Devourer's invasion force, a species that had consumed 17 civilizations in their relentless expansion across the galaxy. Ambassador Velkara of the Zephyrian Coalition adjusted her crystalline form's optical sensors, struggling to process what she was witnessing. The human battle group had just dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the system, responding to the Coalition's desperate plea for assistance. Surely they don't intend to engage. Directly, whispered Commander Thexnos, his insectoid mandibles clicking with anxiety. The Devourers have numerical superiority of 8 to 1. Standard tactical doctrine requires a minimum of 3 to 1 advantage for assault operations. General Krixtar, a veteran of 40 campaigns, studied the formation of human vessels through his tactical interface. Their ships appear primitive. Chemical propulsion, kinetic weapons, basic energy shielding. How did such a species achieve interstellar capability? The answer came in the form of a transmission that cut across all Coalition frequencies. A human voice, calm and professional, filled the observation deck. GDF Command, this is Admiral Chun aboard UES Indomitable. We have visual on the Devourer fleet. Beginning assault run in T-minus 60 seconds. Wait, Ambassador Velkura activated her communication array in panic. Admiral Chun, you cannot engage with such limited forces. Retreat and regroup with the main Coalition fleet. Negative, Command. There are 15 million civilians on that planet. We don't have time for regrouping. The tactical display shifted to show the human battle group accelerating directly toward the Devourer positions. Not in the careful, calculated approach favored by Coalition doctrine, but in what appeared to be a suicidal charge. They're going to die, Commander Thexnos stated with grim certainty. The Devourers will tear them apart before they reach effective weapons range. But as the human ships entered the outer engagement zone, something unprecedented happened. The lead destroyer, UES Yorktown, took a direct hit from a Devourer plasma cannon that should have vaporized it instantly. The ship's hull glowed white-hot, atmosphere venting from multiple breaches, yet maintained course and returned fire with devastating accuracy. Impossible, General Krixtar breathed. Their ship should be destroyed. Yorktown actual to fleet came a crackling transmission filled with static and what sounded like alarms in the background. We've got multiple hull breaches and reactor instability, but weapons are still online. Continuing attack run. The human formation didn't break, didn't retreat, didn't execute evasive maneuvers. They simply absorbed punishment that would have scattered any Coalition fleet and kept advancing. They're not retreating, Ambassador Velkura observed with something approaching awe. They're not even slowing down, added Commander Thexnos, his voice filled with a mixture of horror and admiration. Ship after ship in the human battle group took catastrophic damage. Yet each continued fighting with an intensity that defied rational explanation. The UES Defiant lost its entire forward section but continued firing its remaining weapons. The UES Resolute had been venting atmosphere for 20 minutes, yet somehow maintained formation. Then came the transmission that silenced every being on the observation deck. "This is Commander Sarah Mitchell aboard UES Gettysburg. We've lost main power, life support is failing, and we're down to emergency thrusters." The voice was steady despite the chaos audible in the background. "But we still have one nuclear torpedo left, and that Devourer command ship is looking awfully close." What happened next violated every principle of self-preservation known to galactic civilization. The crippled human destroyer, trailing debris and leaking radiation, accelerated directly toward the massive Devourer flagship. No attempt at evasion, no calls for assistance, no pleas for mercy, just a dying ship and her crew choosing to take their enemies with them. The nuclear detonation lit up the system like a newborn star. When the sensor displays cleared, the Devourer command ship was gone, taking with it the coordination. "They're winning," General Krigstar whispered in disbelief. "They're actually winning." The final transmission from the human fleet commander came as the last Devourer ship fled the system. "GDF Command, this is Admiral Chun. Kepler, 438b is secure. We've lost 60% of our battle group, but the civilians are safe." In the silence that followed, Ambassador Velkera finally found her voice. How? How do they fight like that? The answer came from an unexpected source, the ship's database, which had been analyzing the human engagement patterns. The synthetic voice filled the observation deck with its emotionless assessment. Analysis complete. Human combat doctrine appears to prioritize mission completion over unit survival. Recommendation: never fight humans unless absolutely necessary. Secondary recommendation: ensure humans consider you an ally. Outside the observation deck's viewports, the stars continued their eternal dance, unchanged by the knowledge that the galaxy had just witnessed what would become known as the defining characteristic of human warfare. They simply refused to quit.